Vice Chairperson Barrera, the meeting is now being live streamed.
All right, thank you, Secretary. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Wednesday's February 18, 2026, 5:15 p.m. regular Planning Commission meeting. The meeting will now come to order at 5:24 p.m. Tonight's invocation will be given by Mr. Hernandez, and the Pledge of Allegiance will be led by Commissioner Preciado.
I'll start with the invocation. We ask the Planning Commission be granted wisdom over the items heard over here today. Thank you.
And now for the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you, Mr. Hernandez and Commissioner Preciado. Commissioners, please announce any item you are recusing from due to a conflict of interest prior to the item being heard. Seeing none, Secretary, will you please call the roll of the Planning Commission?
Commissioner Boado will be excused absent unless there is an objection. Commissioner Monroy,
Here.
Commissioner Preciado,
Present.
Vice Chairperson Barrera.
Present. We will now begin with item number 5.1 on the agenda. At this time, I will open the public hearing at 5:25 p.m. May we have the staff report, please, Mr. Hernandez?
Yes, thank you, Vice Chair. But to start off, the project before you today is the Bell Gardens Climate Action Plan. You may remember that this project we brought to you last year on a couple of times for a study session in which we presented to you potential strategies to reduce the city's greenhouse gas emissions. Since then, we have worked to finalize those strategies and the overall proposal for your recommendation today to City Council. With that said, we have a few presenters for the project. Today, we'll be hearing from Associate Planner Adrian Flores, our project consultant from Blue Strike, Anna Buzankova, and our CEQA consultant, Brett Pomeroy, with Impact Sciences. So with that, I'll pass it over to Adrian Flores.
Thank you, Mr. Hernandez. Can we please have the PowerPoint? Thank you. Good evening, Chair, Commissioners, staff, and public. For record, my name is Adrian Flores, Associate Planner with the City of Bell Gardens Planning Division. And as Mr. Hernandez mentioned, the item brought forth all today is to introduce the draft Climate Action Plan and Initial Study Mitigated Negative Declaration prepared by the city and our consultants, Blue Strike Environmental and Impact Sciences. Next slide. Staff's recommendation today is to, one, find that the initial study Mitigated Negative Declaration was prepared in accordance with and pursuant to the California Environmental Quality Act, CEQA, concluding less than significant impacts would occur. And two, adopt Resolution PC 2026-01, recommending to the City Council adopting the new Bell Gardens Climate Action Plan, also known as the CAP, and certified a Mitigated Negative Declaration. Next slide. Thank you. Now allow me to provide some background on the project. On December 11th, 2023, the Bell Gardens City Council adopted resolution authorizing acceptance of a $211,175,000 grant with the California Department of Transportation, the California Department of Transportation grant related to the Sustainable Transportation and Climate Adaptation Planning Grant, awarded to support projects that identify transportation-related climate vulnerabilities and advance coordinated transportation, housing, and land use planning. On April 25th, 2024, staff released the Bell Gardens CAP request for proposals seeking consulting services to prepare a comprehensive CAP focused on identifying strategies to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. Subsequently, on July 22nd, 2024, the City Council adopted Resolution Number 2024-053, approving a professional services agreement with Blue Stripe Environmental for preparation of the Bell Gardens CLAP. Based on their experience, qualifications, cost, and demonstrated ability to deliver a actionable, equity-driven plan with robust stakeholder engagement and familiarity with California and regional climate resilience objectives. Next slide. The city and the region are experiencing significant climate change impacts that are projected to intensify by 2045, particularly due to its dense form, limited green space, and high proportion of vulnerable residents. Key risks include a substantial increase in extreme heat days amplified by the urban heat island effect, worsening air quality from regional wildfire smoke, increased flooding from more intense storm events, and growing threats to water supply reliability and affordability from drought and contamination. The CAP will be implemented with long-term climate objectives consistent with the California statewide greenhouse gas reduction targets, reaching net zero greenhouse gas emissions no later than 2045, as established under Executive Order B55 and Senate Bill 100. Now allow me to present you Anna Bukankova with Blue Strike Environmental, who will be providing an overview of the draft Bell Gardens Climate Action Plan.
Thank you so much, Adrian, and good evening, everybody. My name is Anna Bukankova from Blue Strike Environmental, and today we presented the Bell Gardens Climate Action Plan. And I'm here today with Sol Shepard, also from Blue Strike Environmental, and Brent Pomeroy and Amber Williams from Impact Sciences. For agenda for today, we are going to review the project goals, the goals of the Climate Action Plan. We're going to go over greenhouse gas inventory results, overview community and stakeholder engagement activities that we've conducted throughout this process, and then dive into strategies overview as well as the implementation plan, which includes monitoring, reporting, and funding mechanisms for the plan. And then we'll pass it to the Impact Sciences team for the California Environmental Quality Act component. So to start, I wanted to highlight project goals, and first and foremost is the goal is evaluating greenhouse gas emissions from the entire community and municipal operations, as well as creating clear resilience and greenhouse gas reduction measures and policy recommendations to address greenhouse gas emission reductions and mitigate the impact of climate change. Throughout this process, the goal was to produce a plan in collaboration with your community, with your staff members, with your businesses and local organizations. We also aim to align this plan with your local policies as well as state-level greenhouse gas reduction efforts. And perhaps the main component of this plan is to create a living climate action plan that establishes these resilience and greenhouse gas reduction measures, as well as accompanied by the implementation roadmap, which includes funding mechanisms, monitoring, reporting frameworks to set the city for success on implementing this plan. And before we dive into the overview of the sections, we wanted to highlight the chapters of the Climate Action Plan to make it easier for you to follow along. As you can see that the plan is broken down into a couple of sections. First is executive summary and introduction, setting the vision of the plan, climate impacts, and providing a community snapshot, followed by greenhouse gas emissions inventories and analysis. Then in community engagement, community and staff engagement summaries outlining our process and some of the key priorities and findings, as well as the climate action roadmap, where we outline goals, strategies, and actions, followed by the implementation and reporting plan that outlines funded mechanisms and monitoring. And at the end, you will also find the list of appendices that provide a more detailed overview and technical methods on various components of the plan. And with that, I'll pass it to Sol to cover the greenhouse gas emissions results.
Thanks, Anna. So a major accomplishment of this CAP was creating a comprehensive greenhouse gas inventory for both community and municipal operations. This figure that you can see here shows the 2023 community greenhouse gas inventory, a snapshot of where emissions are coming from across the residents and workers of Bell Gardens. This is the first time an inventory was created for the city, Developing it required establishing new data connections with utilities and departments and working through reporting thresholds and data alignment challenges. Building that foundation is a major milestone and sets the city up for consistent tracking moving forward when assessing targets and successes of strategies. To build this inventory, we work directly with local utilities and agencies to ensure the data reflects real, community-specific conditions. Many thanks to the project team and specifically Adrian for helping us with this project. For electricity, we coordinated with Southern California Edison. For natural gas, we worked with SoCal Gas. Transportation, as you can see, represents about 51% of total emissions, was modeled using Google's Environmental Insights Explorer. For solid waste, we collaborated with the city's solid waste department to receive tonnage information. Water and wastewater calculated using a population-based methodology because treatment occurs outside of city boundaries. This figure represents a minor update from the CAP, incorporating a recently uncovered non-residential electricity category that improved alignment with reporting data and public comments. On the next slide, you can see the 2023 local government operations greenhouse gas inventory. This is emissions that are coming from specifically city operations. While the community inventory reflects emissions citywide, this inventory focuses specifically on sources that the city directly controls, such as vehicle fleet, buildings and facilities, street lights and traffic signals, water use, waste, and employee commuting. As you can see, the largest source of emissions is the city's fleet at 29%, followed by employee commuting at 24%, buildings and facilities at 20%, and then others following that. We developed this inventory using utility data, fuel consumption records, solid waste data, and commuting assumptions based on employees' travel patterns. From these greenhouse gas baselines, we then brought in community support to help us evaluate strategies to help meet California targets that Anna will now discuss on the next slide.
Thank you so much, Sol. We also wanted to give a quick overview of the community and stakeholder engagement activities that we've conducted throughout this process. And on the slide, you can see a summary of those activities. And to highlight a few, in the beginning of last year, our team came in person to Bell Gardens and we conducted an in-person public meeting, attended a yard sale, met various city stakeholders. During this time, throughout the course of the project, we also conducted a series of steering committee meetings that the steering committee was conducted from the representative from various organizations in the city, presented to the Planning Commission at various stages of the project, and also put together 4 focus groups with department heads and deputies, Environmental Justice Committee, Housing Authority, and your business community. We also conducted a community survey, both in English and Spanish, to encourage participation from your entire community. And at the end of the project, the public also had a chance to comment on the final plan during the 30-day public comment period that we'll cover in the next couple of slides. We also wanted to talk a little bit about the strategy development process and the thought that went into it. So Sol presented the greenhouse gas inventories. We covered community engagement activities that were conducted throughout the project. And both of these elements of the plan informed our strategy development. In addition to that, we also aligned strategies with best practices from your regional peers and nationwide climate leaders. We also aligned the plan with your existing priorities and California state greenhouse gas reduction goals and various other initiatives. At the final stage of the plan, when we designed all of the strategies, we met with a steering committee to vet those strategies, as well as presented those preliminary strategies to the Planning Commission. And we also conducted a voting exercise with department heads and staff to make sure that we were all aligned on the priorities and inclusion of all of these strategies into the final plan. Also, the public had a chance to provide comments on the strategies during the public comment period. So before we jump into reviewing the strategies and the focus areas of the plan, I wanted to emphasize that, as it was mentioned in the beginning, this plan aims to align with California greenhouse gas reduction goals and initiatives to follow California laws and guidelines. And the idea for this plan was to create a living document that is a dynamic framework that can evolve all the time and that can adjust based on the development of community priorities, based on the change in funding landscape, based on advancement in technologies. And essentially, these focus areas that we'll be looking at now support the transition and emission reduction goals and strategies, as well as resilience and adaptation strategies for the city and for the state. And to support these goals and initiatives, we broke down this plan into 5 focus areas. First is energy and buildings, transportation and mobility, resource conservation, green community, and resilience and adaptation. So the first slide here is the energy and buildings focus area. And to make it easier for you to follow, if you'd like, you can look at pages 70 to 71, which outlines all goals, strategies, and actions included in this section. And before we dive into it, I also wanted to highlight how the plan is organized. So in each of those focus areas, you will see a high-level goal, a strategy, and an action that will support implementation of each of those strategies to be able to achieve these goals. And on the slide here, you can see energy and building strategies. And the strategies and actions in this section aim to accelerate building retrofits, promote clean energy technologies, and ensure that homeowners and renters can benefit from more energy efficient and resilient built environment, as well as commercial and industrial tenants as well. On the slide here, you can see sample goal to build a citywide battery microgrid for cooling centers and critical facilities, supported by the strategy of cooling center microgrid. And you can see a couple of actions supporting this strategy. And we know the city already has a facility that can function as cooling centers. And what this strategy aims to do is to support a more resilient cooling center infrastructure by installing rooftop solar and battery storage, increasing building efficiency, and ensuring that the building can operate during potential power outages down the road and can function on an island mode for approximately 72 hours. You can also see on the bottom here a key co-benefits highlighted for each of those strategies, and here is an example of one, that this strategy, in addition to providing resilient infrastructure for community, can also reduce emissions, save energy and costs, and provide resilient and adaptation economic development opportunities. On the next slide here, you can see transportation and mobility. And just likewise on the previous slide, you can also follow along following pages 78 to 84. And what we mean here by transportation and mobility is this section includes strategies that focus on expanded EV infrastructure, enhanced public and active transportation system, mode shifting strategies, and more walkable and bike-friendly streets. And one of the strategies that we're highlighting here is pursuing a transition for Bell Gardens Town Trolley to zero-emission vehicles. What essentially it will involve is partnering with the Town Trolley to design a roadmap to transition their vehicles at the end of the useful lifetime, prioritizing contracting with third parties that has zero-emission fleets, and applying for future funding opportunities to upgrade infrastructure and install EV to support EV transition and charging infrastructure. You can see a couple of co-benefits also highlighted here underneath each strategy, including greenhouse gas emission reductions, resource conservation, economic development, equity, and community well-being. Next focus area for us is resource conservation. You can also follow along here starting on page 85. And what we mean here by resource conservation, it essentially is strategies that aim to build culture of reuse and conservation to help households and businesses save money on utilities. Strategies in this section also focus on managing resources like water, energy, and waste reduction. And one strategy highlighted here you can see is improving water use efficiency in buildings, is encouraging retrofits in all municipal buildings with EPA water sense fixtures, as well as encouraging the same retrofits in all new constructions and major renovations, and launching educational campaigns for residents and commercial and industrial tenants and property owners to showcase which rebates are available to them to pursue those water efficiency upgrades. Next one is green community. You can follow along starting on the page 91. And what we mean here by green community and the strategies that I included here, it's the strategies emphasize tree planting, creation of green corridors, and use of nature-based solutions to reduce climate challenges. And these actions aim to help cool neighborhoods, enhance recreational opportunities, and foster a healthier community. And the strategy that we're highlighting here is remediating and reactivated contaminated and underutilized lands for community and other uses. And we know this is something that city is already doing, and it's continuing to, one of the actions here is to continue to clean up of contaminated lands and explore agreements with the utility, electric utility, and to co-develop land beneath and around power lines, to consider initiatives like low impact uses such as walking, biking, native gardens, stormwater capture areas, and nurseries to utilize that land. One of the other actions is perform a citywide land assessment to identify parcels suitable for community gardens as well. And you can see a couple of co-benefits highlighted here, such as resiliency adaptation, resource conservation, and economic development and green jobs. And lastly, we have here resilience and adaptation focus area. And what we mean by that is the strategies and actions in these sections aim to increase heat resilience, improve emergency preparedness, expand cooling centers, and integrate climate considerations into all aspects of planning and development. And one strategy that we're highlighting here is the training program for your residents, the training and resource program. Essentially what it means is creating educational programs for the residents to assist them in making sure that they're prepared for various disasters and know best practices and local guidance. It is offering training and climate resilience workshops. Specifically, we're highlighting here community emergency response team workshop and embedding preparedness curriculum into all K-12 schools. So now we talked about the focus areas and highlighted some of the strategies. And as I mentioned here, we wanted to create a document that is a living plan that is adaptable to various changes and that includes an implementation plan, an implementation roadmap. So on the previous slides, you saw that we structured our plan to include goals, strategies, and actions. And our implementation plan is relatively detailed and action specific. So you will see that each action in the plan has its own implementation roadmap that includes implementing departments, includes cost estimates, also background on cost assumptions, start years, implementation timelines, and potential greenhouse gas reductions amounts associated with either actions or strategies combined all together. You can see a full table on the implementation plan on pages, starting on page 108, but essentially it includes a comprehensive view on the actual and specific initiatives assisting the city to have a roadmap that is action ready to make sure that this plan is actionable. Another way we portray this plan is we want to make sure that it's implementable, and that includes ability to monitor and report on progress, and ability to fund this plan. So as a part of our work progress here, we included a roadmap here to track and monitor various strategies in the plan. And as you can see here, we including key performance indicators on the strategy level. And we also include tools and methods to be able to report on these mechanisms. So for example, you can see here a number of buildings meeting energy standards or numbers of expedited permits for the strategy that focuses on implementing energy efficient building standards, as well as tool and methods such as access to permitting systems or planning department reports. Funding sources are also included on the right here. And I want to highlight that it's not an extensive funding sources and opportunities here. This is just a highlight. And more information on funding can be found under Appendix C or under each strategy in the main body of the plan. But essentially what we're trying to do here is to give the city tools to be able to monitor progress, to be able to adjust and evaluate progress and priorities over time, looking at the past performance and future initiatives, and be aware of the funding opportunities and mechanisms that can be supporting strategies and actions that are a part of this plan. And finally, I wanted to highlight what the final report looks like. On the slide here, you can see a snippet of the cover page of the Climate Action Plan and the logo that was specifically designed for this plan, a Climate Action Plan framework, and a community snapshot here that is included in the introduction part of the plan. And with that, I'll pass it to the Impact Sciences team for California Environmental Quality Act.
Thank you, Anna. Good evening, everyone. My name is Brett Pomeroy, Associate Principal with Impact Sciences. We are the environmental consultant that supported the city and the Blue Strike team with the preparation of the California Environmental Quality Act documentation. To that end, the city, acting as lead agency for the Climate Action Plan under CEQA, prepared and published a draft initial study, Mitigated Negative Declaration, on December 23rd, 2025. And the public comment period ran through January 23rd, 2026. The city received 3 comment letters during the comment period, one from Caltrans District 7, one from Los Angeles County Sanitation Districts, and one from the Gabrielino Band of Mission Indians, Kiz Nation. We prepared a memorandum that responds to each of these comment letters and also prepared a final mitigation monitoring and reporting program. Each of these items are included as exhibits to the agenda report. As demonstrated therein, none of the comments received on the project's draft ISMND provide substantial evidence or a fair argument indicating that additional CEQA review is warranted or that the project could result in significant environmental effects. Next slide, please. Another important component of the California Environmental Quality Act is that if the plan is approved and if the MND is adopted by the city, this plan can be utilized to streamline the GHG analysis for future plans and projects undergoing CEQA review pursuant to CEQA section 15183.5. And essentially what this means is that, as the plan would be considered a qualified GHG reduction plan, future discretionary plans and projects that can demonstrate consistency with applicable strategies and actions identified in the plan may be able to determine project level impacts would be less than significant. With that, I'll pass it back to the city.
Thank you both, Brett and Anna and Zoel, for providing an overview of our draft climate action plan and negative declaration. For the record, staff released the draft climate action plan for a public review period from December 23rd, 2025 to January 23rd, 2026. Within that period, we received a total of 2 comments. The first public comment was provided by Laura Cortez with ECR Communities for Environmental Justice. Their letter expressed overall support for the document while providing questions and suggestions for clarification and improvement. Comments focused on defining technical terms, recommending community engagement for bicycle lane planning, and drought-tolerant parkway landscaping. The second public comment was provided by Brittany Rivas with Communities for a Better Environment. Their letter acknowledged the city's efforts and offers comments intended to further strengthen the climate action plan with a focus on environmental justice and public health considerations. Comments focused on identifying unhoused communities, renter protections, and natural resource protection. The city reviewed and considered all comments received on the climate action plan and made revisions where appropriate. Based on this input, the draft climate action plan was updated in an effort to clarify policies and strengthen implementation. Anna Bukankova with Blue Stripe and Rental will now provide an example of how comments were addressed in the climate action plan.
Thank you, Adrian. So the first comment here, we had to make a minor change and revise the language of the plan. The comment came from Laura Cortez, identifying that it may not be clear for a reader what the 72 island mode means for cooling centers. And essentially, we are adding an explanation and a footnote in the plan defining that island mode means that the facility can operate without grid power using solar and battery storage for a certain period of time. And this is just an example of how these comments were addressed. We also addressed comments by either refining the additional language in the strategies and throughout the plan, or also pointing back to the strategies and actions that would address a comment that came from the public comment period. And I will pass it back to the city for recommendation.
Thank you, Anna. So again, commissioners, today staff's recommendation is to find the initial study mitigative declaration was prepared in accordance with and pursuant to the California Environmental Quality Act, including less than significant impacts would occur. And 2, adopt resolution PC 2026-01 recommending to the City Council adopting the new Bell Gardens Climate Action Plan and certify a mitigated negative declaration. This concludes our presentation. The consultants, along with staff and city attorney, are available for any questions. Thank you.
Vice Chair, I just want to make one more comment too. So before we continue with questions I wanted to point out that a motion by the Planning Commission to approve a resolution also includes an MMRP, which stands for Mitigation, Monitoring, and Reporting Program. That document accompanies the CEQA ISM&D, and it essentially is a convenient list of all the mitigations in that larger document. More importantly, what I wanted to point out is that MMRP includes a different mitigation for tribal impacts that was not originally placed into the public review draft that we put out from December to January. This is because the consultation with the Gabrielino Band of Mission Indians happened during that period. So when we met with them, we consulted with them, they requested that we change that mitigation. And so the motion that you make here for that resolution will include that change. The change is appropriate because it's not substantially different. We just put in language that they wanted us to put in. So I just wanted to make that clear for the record. Thank you.
Thank you. We will now move to commissioner questions or comments. Does any commissioner have any questions?
I do have a question regarding the initial numbers for the metric tons of emissions produced in the city for 2023. I don't remember what attachment I saw, but the numbers I was able to jot down look different from the presentation today. I wanted to know where that discrepancy comes from.
Of course. Anna, if you can answer the question, we did from the time that we were publishing the document to, I want to say, literally late last week, we discovered a document that had different numbers on there. So we made the quick change to do that. I think Anna may have mentioned it in the presentation, but if not, thank you for asking the question so we could address it for the record.
Yeah, thank you so much for asking the question. And I'm going to start and then pass it to Sol if you have any additional information to provide here. So during the public review period, we received a note from one of the commenters on the industrial electricity consumption. And, basically about a week or so ago, we received additional information from Southern California Edison that outlined 2 sectors for electricity, residential and non-residential, that was not initially provided during the process of conducting greenhouse gas inventories. And our team suggested to the city and the project team to revise the inventory to reflect a more accurate numbers. So essentially what it did is we separated commercial electricity from non-residential and including that non-residential component in the total electricity amount that you see reflected here. That is the difference that was made in the from the initial inventory. So the emission amount here went up, as you can see from the climate action plan draft in the slide here. So as the next step, we will be also making the change in the draft of the climate action plan to reflect this difference, and also we'll be adjusting the numbers throughout the report. And so I'll pass it to you if you want to add any additional information on that.
Yeah, just for the record, the industrial electricity emissions increased, like was said late last week, early this week, by approximately 12,000 metric tons, and that's the only change that occurred. And yeah, other than that, Onyx explained it exactly what was happening.
Right, and maybe one note to add also for the record, initially, the data that was shared with our team to conduct greenhouse gas emission inventories excluded industrial electricity due to the aggregation rules by the Southern California Edison protecting privacy of industrial customers. And so they were not able to share the exact information on the electricity consumption in the first place.
Thank you for the clarification.
Of course.
So first, just thank you to the team for putting this report together. I know it takes a lot of work from both ends to get this done. I know we went over the community engagement section of the report, and we spoke about the feedback from the community. So do we have any sort of like summary or what was that feedback like that we received?
Yes, I'm on. So we can kind of summarize what it was. On hand, we don't have. We did generate summaries and reports of what that was for staff. And actually, I take that back on. We do have the climate action plan. The climate action plan itself, I could dig through it and then find that section. But it does talk about the feedback that we received from the city and the residents.
Okay. I guess I'm trying to mostly see if was the feedback positive or was there some pushback?
I did want to point out, as Adrian mentioned, we did receive 2 comments from individuals we were already engaging with. We had a technical advisory committee, which was made up by different nonprofits that are associated with the city, one of them being East Yards. They also decided to submit formal comments to us. What we did before that was we met with them on various occasions to present our strategies and proposals. They gave us feedback then through Zoom meetings. They then formally submitted too. And what they drafted was acknowledgement that some of the things that we put in the cap were accurate and consistent with standards in other caps. And the other thing is that they acknowledge support of the overall project. And then Anna, Adrian, if maybe if you could discuss whether we receive support from other community residents.
Yeah, thank you, Alfonso. And just a quick addition also, in the plan, we don't have a slide summarizing the feedback, but we did put together a separate appendix, Appendix B, Stakeholder and Community Engagement Summary. That is one of the attachments to the plan, summarizing all of the activities conducted and some of the major results and key takeaways. We generally received positive feedback from focus groups, from the steering committee meetings, and from the community survey on the plan, and specifically initiatives that the community supported is biking infrastructure, safe biking infrastructure, water conservation initiatives, and overall urban resilient environment and city preparedness for various environmental challenges. So this was the summary of the feedback, and for further detail, the recommendation would be referring to the Appendix B for the summary.
And then for reference, the community engagement chapter starts on page 51 of the document, and the Appendix B starts on page 177.
Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. And I know also we went over the implementation plan. Some of those dates on there were from last year, 2025. So are we actively working on that implementation plan right now?
Thank you for the comment. So for the implementation plan, when the draft of this plan was put together, it was before the CEQA review, which took some time. The dates on the implementation plan table will include some of the initiatives that are ongoing, and will include some of the initiatives that we suggested starting in 2025, because the plan took about a year and a half to develop, including putting together the actual plan and the CEQA component. And as we refer to this plan as a living document, we provided some of the suggestions for earlier implementation. So some of these items included looking into funding opportunities or providing engagement and educational opportunities for your communities, which is why those dates are reflected for 2025.
So Anna, for clarification, will we be updating those dates?
I think this is something that we can update. We would need to connect internally as a project with the project team, so with you and Adrian, to align on if any of these initiatives have been started already, and if they haven't, we can push the date to the further one.
Got it.
All right, thank you for that clarification. Lastly, last question, is the action plan, is that available for the public to view?
Yes, it currently is. Yeah, the public can still provide comments. We take into the city council at, Adrian, can you remind me which date that is? March 23rd, I believe?
Yes, March 23rd is going to be the City Council introduction to the Climate Action Plan. But the draft document along with the CEQA documents are also available on the city website. It's going to be under our planning page, subpage Climate Action Plan is where you'll be able to access all of the draft documents for review.
All right, thank you for that clarification. Are there any other questions or comments from the commissioners?
I do have one. It's very vague, and the reason why I find it to be vague is that the Olympics will be held here in the county of LA, and I was just wondering if we think that's gonna have any impact to the plan implementation, or even like the numbers like that have already been calculated, or if the Olympics are such a small time period that don't necessarily have a significant impact to the numbers that we're like working with, I guess.
Yeah, I think we would see the Olympics as an outlier. So what we wanted to do with this plan was set a baseline in terms of how much consumption or how much emissions we have. And then our goals for reducing that really extend to 2035, 2045. So I think when we look at the overall consumption and emissions, we would think the Olympics would be, and the World Cup would be kind of an outlier there. Yeah, and it wouldn't be a good description of what the city actually uses in terms of energy. Yeah. But to answer your question more directly, I'm sure it's going to use more emissions and more energy for that small time period. Yeah. But in terms of affecting the overall goals, I think after it fades away, we'll be back on track to hopefully reduce those emissions. Yeah.
All right, thank you, commissioners. We want to open public participation for this item. Secretary, please announce instructions for public participation.
The members of the public will now have an opportunity to speak on the public hearing, item number 5.1. Currently, there is no public comment cards provided, written comments provided, and no one has their hands raised virtually.
Thank you. If there are no objections by the Planning Commission, I will close public participation. If there are no additional questions or comments by the Planning Commission, I will close public hearing at 6:08 p.m. May I have a motion to move forward with staff's recommendation as noted in the staff report?
I second that motion.
Just for the record, we had our first motion? No, not yet. Okay. Adrian, can you provide us with the recommendation one more time?
It is staff's recommendation that 1, find the initial study mitigative declaration with the MMRP was prepared in accordance with and pursuant to the California Environmental Quality Act, concluding less than significant impacts would occur. And two, adopt Resolution 2026-01, recommending to the City Council to adopt the Bell Gardens Climate Action Plan and certify the mitigative negative declaration.
If I may, Chair Pereira, this is Lloyd.
Yes, hi, Lloyd.
I just wanted to clarify that the motion can be as simple as motion to approve staff's recommendation. That's all it needs to be said.
Thank you.
All right, motion to approve staff recommendation.
May I get a second?
I second the motion.
Planning Secretary, will you please conduct a roll call vote?
Commissioner Monroy,
Yes.
Commissioner Preciado,
Yes.
Vice Chairperson Barrera.
Yes,
Motion passes.
thank you. Moving on to public participation on agenda items. Public participation is now open for items listed on the Planning Commission agenda. Secretary, please announce the instructions for public participation.
The members of the public will now have an opportunity to speak on items listed on the Planning Commission agenda. Currently, there is no public comment cards provided, written comments provided, and no one has their hands raised virtually.
Thank you. If there's no objection by the Planning Commission, I will close public participation for agenda items at 6:10 p.m. Now moving on, we will now move to the consent calendar. May I have a motion to approve item number 7.1 of the consent calendar?
Motion to approve the consent calendar.
May I have a second?
I second the motion.
Thank you. Planning Secretary, will you please conduct a roll call vote?
Commissioner Monroy,
Yes.
Commissioner Preciado,
Yes.
Vice Chairperson Barrera.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, thank you, everybody. Moving on to public participation on non-agenda items. Public participation is now open for items not listed on the Planning Commission agenda. Secretary, please announce the instructions for public participation.
The members of the public will now have an opportunity to speak on items not listed on the Planning Commission agenda. Currently, there is no public comment cards provided, written comments provided, and no one has their hands raised virtually.
Thank you. If there is no objection by the Planning Commission, I will close public participation for non-agenda items. We will now move forward with staff comments.
Thank you, Vice Chair. I wanted to let the commission know that we have, for the past 2 to 3 years, been working on the transit-oriented community-specific plan. That plan area is the intersection of Garfield and Florence. The plan overall works on identifying opportunities to improve transit movement there, on amenities for mobility, like designs for bus stations, or bus shelters. And then we're adding more bus shelters, or again, designing them in a way that does protect individuals from the elements, and also upzoning that area too. So the upzoning that area would be about adding another 403 potential units for that area. I want to specify that this is just a plan, so there is no physical development being proposed. I bring this up because this will be coming before you at the next meeting on March 18th for your consideration, and it's currently published now for the public's review and your review as well. We'll be sending you an email with that information too, so you could see it now before we send over an agenda. And then so yeah, with that, I want to say that. And the other thing I want to introduce our new member of our planning division staff is Annalise Zavala, our planning secretary. And with that, I conclude my comments. Thank you.
Are there any other staff comments?
No other comments.
Okay, thank you. Seeing none, we'll be moving on to commissioner comments. So first, want to give a warm welcome to Annalise, the new planning secretary. I look forward to working with you. And also just want to say welcome back to fellow commissioners. I know we are missing a few heads right now, but hopefully in a couple of weeks, couple of months, we could get back up to our full head count of 5 commissioners. Seeing no other commissioner comments, if there is no objection by the members, I will now adjourn the regular planning commission meeting at 6:13 p.m.